I just got a call from my landlord. She said one of my girlfriends showed up drunk. They wouldn't let her in the camp. Then she snuck in and got caught hiding behind the water tank next to my house. I wasn't expecting anyone. Who the fuck? I don't go into town much anymore, but Costco is my weakness. So I went early to beat the chaos. It wasn't even 11 a.m. when my phone rang. It was my landlord. In Spanish, she says, "A woman arrived in a taxi drunk off her ass. She said she was here to see you." Then she adds, like it was obvious,
"It was one of your girlfriends."
Now you gotta understand, my landlord always says that. If she invited me to a party or a barbecue, she'd go,
"How many of your girlfriends are you bringing? Don't tell me their names, I don't care."
So when she said, "one of my girlfriends," I just kind of froze. I said, okay, even though I had no idea who she was talking about. She continues,
"We didn't let her in. She got mad and walked away."
Now, I live in a gated community, El Faro. From the main road to the entrance, it's about a 2.5-mile hike. In the sun. Drunk? So I told her I'm downtown right now, but I'll be home later. Thanks for calling. 30 minutes go by, my phone rings again. "We found her," she said. "She jumped the fence. She was hiding beside your house, behind the fucking water tank, waiting." I could hear voices through the phone, hear the staff, and the totally wasted woman talking gibberish. Then she says,
"She's banned. She's never allowed back in El Faro. We're sending her home in a cab."
I just said, okay, gracias, because what the hell else do you say to that? But here's the thing, cabs are uncommon. Most women only take a cab home on payday and only after a grocery run. I checked my phone, no missed calls, no messages, and I still had no clue who she was. So when she said, "one of your girlfriends," I had to think real hard. Let's be real. Ensenada, it's not just beautiful, it's dangerous. In the best way. I mean, $40 hookers, 5'0" spinners, boring dates whose best friends somehow got my number, sexy ass bartenders, boss babes running their own businesses, classy women who turned down my friends but later came aggressively after me. One absolute bombshell I used to date went pro after we ended things. Like, upgraded to working girls varsity? And no, I don't take credit for the career change. Cruise ship flings, barflies who somehow made Tuesday nights feel like Vegas. But it wasn't just the stories. It was the people. It was the women. I've met amazing women all over Mexico. Smart, funny, deep, wild. But Ensenada has the greatest concentration of best Mexican women I've ever encountered. A single guy's paradise. Also, the only place in Mexico where I've ever been drugged. So yeah, Ensenada's magic, but she bites too. If you haven't figured it out by now, I like chaparritas. If you don't know what a chaparrita is, you definitely need to watch episode 1. Or is it episode 2? Episode 1 is called Gringo Dating in Mexico, Money, Women, Culture Shock, and What the Fuck Moments, also known as EP1 Intro. That episode breaks down the who, what, where, when, why, and how the hell I ended up here. Basically, it's the launch pad for this whole series. The real shit they don't put in travel vlogs. Gringo Dating in Mexico, proudly oversharing since episode 1. There's an area in Ensenada way out past downtown, about a 45-minute drive, called La Jolla. Gringo heavy, overpriced for Mexico, and a little cliquey for my taste. I got invited to a private birthday party out there, a special one for a local chaparrita. Once I confirmed the girls were welcome, I said, why not? Big house, great food, drinks, live band. The birthday girl greets us, and she's wearing these massive electric light-up glasses, like full face shield. You needed sunglasses just to look at her. She's this local Mexican gal, nearly perfect English, great body, and super friendly. She introduced me to every guest, including the band. Zero Spanish spoken, not the typical Ensenada party. Fun night, except she smoked cigarettes, so we left early. The host invited me back for their Tuesday pool tournaments. I asked if the girls could come. He said, absolutely. That's all I needed. Now, I love billiards. I expected a room full of older men, but half the players were women. Nice surprise. One chaparrita came up and hugged me. I had no idea who she was until she spoke. It was the birthday girl, but without the glasses, I didn't recognize her. We'll call her Lo-Fi. She leaned in and said, I found out you don't date smokers, so I quit smoking. Sure. The tournament was a blast. I ended up winning and never got invited back. Lo-Fi invited me out for drinks that weekend in a Gringo bar called Sharky's, owned by a Mexican guy who speaks fluent English. The place is way out there, and since she smoked, I wasn't thrilled. But she tempted me with, there will be so many women there. Well, shit. We show up. Smokers are all outside. Lo-Fi wasn't with them. Interesting. Inside was full, but not packed. Perfect for the girls. Lo-Fi introduced me to the bar owner as her brother. He was drunk and weirdly standoffish. Later that night, he nearly assaulted me, accusing me of hitting on his wife. I didn't even know who his wife was. Turns out, he wasn't even married. The women at that bar were flirty, aggressively. Then I realized these people all know each other. I was the new meat in the room. Lo-Fi didn't smoke once that night. We drank, talked for hours. She was clear about her intentions. I quit smoking for you. Sure, it had only been 4 days. But she was funny, confident, and that body. So I invited her and the musicians to a small party at my place. They brought tequila. I don't do shots anymore, just sipping the good stuff. That night, we did shots, plural. I woke up with Lo-Fi and the girls in my bed. At least she didn't smell like cigarettes. Fast forward a few months, Lo-Fi became a regular. Sex was phenomenal. She never smoked again, but damn, she could drink. And I mean a lot. I'd go to parties with her in La Jolla, too far, too cliquey, but I did it to keep the stellar sex on tap. Every time I hung with the guys out there, 2 questions came up. Does she ever stop drinking? Does she ever say no during sex? Answer was no to both. Turns out she'd slept with nearly every gringo in La Jolla, including married ones. But she was so much fun, no one cared. Experience counts, apparently. Her personality was the biggest winner. And that landlord call from earlier? Yeah, Lo-Fi was the drunk girl who took a cab all the way from La Jolla. And then back. Her story doesn't end here. She deserves her own video. Maybe even her own series. When I first moved to Ensenada in 2017, the population was around 300,000. A shipping port with a chill mix of locals and transplants. A solid gringo crowd too. And then there's the cruise ships. It's the first stop for most major cruise lines. They dock in the morning and everyone has to be back on the boat by 6 p.m. Locals know this. We plan around this. The port is literally walking distance from downtown restaurants, bars, and motels. Perfect setup, for the drunky quickie. Bar workers stand on the sidewalks hoarding passengers like cattle. They do all the heavy lifting for us. Downtown on cruise ship days, it's like New Year's by 1 p.m., then dead silent by 6. I'd walk into the bar with the girls, sit with the cruisers, tell the hotties I live there, sip some tequila, and head to a motel. I didn't do it often, but damn, it was easy. Shooting fish in a barrel. I don't think about her much anymore, but I still remember her. She was physically perfect for me. Early 30s, 3 kids, but you'd never know it. Cute as hell. Piercings not usually my thing, but she made them work. I really liked her. Wish I could show you pics, but none of them are YouTube safe. She'd stay at our beach house for a night or two and then head back to her kids. I never met them or her family, just her friends, and they all pushed us to get married after a month. She owned a nail salon, widowed, fun, smart. She'd even do the dishes after I cooked. That's rare. She was also really into sex, the rough and painful kind, way past what I could give. That's not why we ended though. It was a drunk misunderstanding, lost in translation. And when it ended, that was that. No texts, no calls, just silence. Felt strange at first, until I saw her near her salon one day. Bright red hair, clown red. Now in the border towns, that hair color means just one thing. Yes, I will fuck you for money. I didn't want to believe it. She was so sweet, always kind, always positive. But I got curious. I checked the online listings where the pros advertise. Bam, there she was. Face blurred out, but the hair, the body, unmistakable. I convinced myself it wasn't her. Texted the number, no reply. Tried again weeks later. Eventually, that number called me. I picked up. Freedom, she said. I can offer you the service you require. That voice, no question. It was her. I panicked, hung up. We never spoke again. Oh, and speaking of ladies of the night, prostitution is legal in Ensenada, but soliciting isn't. That's how the cops make the Christmas money. Here's how it works. You're walking home after dinner. Girl approaches you, you smile and politely say, no. 5 steps later, here come the police. 10 of them. It's a setup. They want your cash. And it works. Happened to me, happened to a buddy, happened to another buddy, and another. Now, only tourists walk that street. Pro tip, if you go to Ensenada, take a taxi to and from Perez de la Noche. Don't walk on that block. So I know you're dying to hear about the hookers. Whether you've ever played in the oldest profession's ballpark or not, every guy is fascinated by varsity girls. So yeah, I'm gonna share some stories as explicitly as I can without getting my ass banned, purely for educational purposes. But before we get into the sweaty details, we gotta talk about societal norms, because that's where a lot of gringos get completely lost when they come down here. See, one of the biggest misunderstandings between Mexico and its northern neighbors is in the cultural and societal standards. Sure, we share a border, but beyond that, the only thing these neighbors have in common is that we live on the same planet and breathe the same air. This stuff matters if you're dating in Mexico, and it's very useful knowledge if you conduct business transactions for love. Before I moved here, I thought I understood how it worked. Turns out, I didn't understand shit. We're all raised inside these invisible boxes, belief systems that tell us what's normal, acceptable, or weird. That's what shapes your experiences. If your experiences suck, change your belief system. But heads up, that's not a quick flip. It takes time. months, years, unless you've done it before. In the US and cannabis, people are expected to date within their age group. If a guy in his 50s is talking to a woman in her 20s, she'll act shocked, and the witnesses are writing your obituary on social media. Not in Mexico. Here it's common, expected even, for a 50-year-old man to date or marry a 20-something woman. It's a societal norm. I learned that on my first week walking down the Malecon. These 20-and-something women were looking at me, whispering to each other. My first thought, do I have a stain on my shirt? Did I shit my pants? I felt judged like teenagers do back home. But no, they were interested, flirting even, because here they're not programmed to filter attraction through an age difference lens. That's how I met Paola. Several years before I moved here, my retired buddy took me to a bar near the red light district. Not a strip joint, a billiards bar, but a stone's throw from the titty zone. We were standing outside and he says, I want you to meet someone. We go in, sit at the bar, and there's Paola. Young, gorgeous, working the taps with a smile that could melt concrete. 3 other guys are playing pool, zero interest. I'm infatuated instantly. Now I know it's the bartender's job to flirt, keep your glass full, make you feel like the most interesting man in the world. Dating a bartender you met in a bar, expensive as hell and usually a dead end. I asked my buddy if she's a hooker. I don't think so, he says, but if she's not now, she will be soon working in this zone. I was in Ensenada a week, visiting Paola every night. The titty zone comes with its usual shady characters. What do you need, man? Amigo, I got whatever you want, anything. They creep me out. I only mess with alcohol, and I'm good at finding whatever I need. Outside the bar, there was this young dude, polite, smart, about Paola's age. I liked him, good kid. My last night in town, I asked him, you know Paola? Of course. Think she'd come to my room tonight? He looks surprised and says, let me check. Minutes later, he's back with Paola. She looks at me and laughs. What the fuck? They talk Spanish. She goes back inside. He says, it's $100. She gets off work at 3 a.m. and you'll be her first. First what? First paying customer, he laughs. We set it up. I go back drunk, heart racing. 3:05 a.m., phone rings. Next, they're at my door smiling. I tip the kid $10. He's literally jumping down the hallway with joy. Paula's adorable as can be. I put her small bag and purse on the dresser. She's sweet, clean, hair damp from a shower at work. We kiss, slow, soft, like a real first date. My hands slide up, no bra. Nipples hard, I squeeze, she moans. I go lower. Daisy Duke shorts, soaking wet. Literally running down her leg. That was it. I picked her up, took her to bed. Pure passion. A few orgasms later, the sun's coming up. She says, I gotta go. Oh, I didn't want her to. I gave her the $100. She smiles and says, I wanted you from the second night I saw you, but thanks for paying my rent. Blew me a kiss, never saw her again, until, all right, here's where I lean in and give you the playbook. Took me years to figure this stuff out. Years. I thought all my past experience, my ex, the threesomes, had taught me a thing or five about hookers. Nope. What I didn't know was the real side of varsity girls. After 3 years in Ensenada, I got to know them. Once you understand how and why they got into the business, and it's not always the cliche you think, everything changes. I kept a few varsity friends I never had to pay, and a few ready for when buddies came to visit. These tips, they're for Mexican hookers in border towns. Prices vary like crazy. In Tijuana, a girl at top clubs like Hong Kong run $150 to $300 an hour. And that's only until you finish. Then she's out. Unless you set the terms first. Ensenada's top titty bars like Paris charge $100 plus for 20 minutes in a closet room. That's where the pros work. Negotiate after hours. Make a deal. Meet up after work. $100 for a few hours is common. Go outside the city. If you speak Spanish and wander a bit, you'll find younger, prettier girls for much less. I've paid as little as 800 pesos, about $40 for an hour. Overnights are cheap. At my beach house, they'd spend the night for $100 plus a $5 cab home. Set up a regular. Find a girl you like? Offer a monthly deal. Once a week, set price, and cover her ride. She'll be there, happy as hell. I used to call mine the housekeeper. She didn't clean the house. Bottom line, everything is negotiable. All right, look, I started this whole series talking about that disaster in Mazatlan, right? So before we wrap this episode, I gotta tell you about G, because she goes on the why I fell in love with Mexico list. Picture this. I'm scrolling Facebook and I see this photo. Just this tiny little firecracker of a woman. 4'9", a true chaparrita. And something about that smile just got me. Now here's where it gets interesting. I was a fucking mess when I met her. Fresh out of a brutal breakup, emotionally dead inside, basically just looking to get laid and forget my problems. So I message her, we start talking, and I do what I always do. I'm brutally honest. I tell her exactly where my head's at. Look, I'm not ready for anything serious, blah, blah, blah. Most women, they run. G, she said, okay. But here's what I didn't expect. We meet up and within minutes, we're laughing like we've known each other for years. The chemistry was instant, not just sexual, although that was incredible, but everything. We just clicked. Now G lived clear across town with her 3 kids. 2 teenage boys at home, 1 daughter who moved out. And every few nights after she got the boys settled, she'd call me late night. Do you have any gas money? That was code for, I'm driving an hour to come fuck your brains out. And I'm talking 100, maybe 200 pesos, 5 to 10 bucks. That's all she ever asked for. So one day, I'm like, let's take a road trip. We drive up to Puerto Nuevo. You know this place? It's this tiny lobster town about an hour north. Total tourist trap. But they do this thing. They take a whole lobster, cut it in half lengthwise, and flash fry it in these massive vats of oil. Then they bring you homemade everything. Tortillas, rice, beans, and this giant bowl of melted butter. You make lobster burritos until you literally can't move. It's called Puerto Nuevo style. Here's the best part of this trip. G doesn't speak a word of English, but she loves American rock music. So we're driving up the coast, dogs in the back, windows down, and she starts belting out Metallica. This thick Mexican accent, completely butchering the words, but singing her heart out. Sleep with one eye open, gripping the pillow tight. I'm crying laughing. She's laughing, and I'm thinking, when was the last time I had this much fun on a road trip? We get to Puerto Nuevo, destroy about 3 one-half lobsters each, and realize we spent our hotel money on food. So what do? Find a secluded spot overlooking the ocean, fog up the car windows, then drive home for round 2. That was G. Anytime, anywhere, the answer was always yes. But here's what really got me. Countless nights. After working all day and caring for 2 kids, she'd drive that hour to my place. We'd stay up until 4 a.m. laughing, sexing. Then she'd grab maybe an hour of sleep, shower, and drive to work. Never complained, never asked for more than gas money. I met her family, spent holidays with them. Her kids were super polite. When it came time to leave Ensenada, that goodbye was the hardest part about leaving that city. Pure angel. If there's such a thing as the right woman at the wrong time, she was it. And the crazy part, she's still out there, still being amazing to some lucky bastard who actually deserves her. TIM, sometimes it breaks your heart in the best possible way. So there you have it, Ensenada, TIM. It'll give you the craziest sex and the most confusing phone calls from your landlord. Would I do it all again? Ask these guys. They've heard all the stories. They're not impressed. But I'll say this, from one woman hiding behind water tanks to another singing Metallica with that accent, you can't make this shit up. And we're just getting started. If you've ever fallen for someone who made terrible decisions look like good ideas, you get it. Hit like, hit subscribe. If you want to support the dogs and I, links are in the description. PayPal.me, GoFundMe, Buy Me a Coffee, and our Traveling with Dogs store. Oh, and if you haven't watched episode 1 and 2 yet, do that. You got some catching up to do. Pooperhead, Monkey, and I, we'll see you in the next one.